Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. Today I'm going to be talking about Atropa DAI. So this is a recently released mariarahel or Hamad Daiichi contract. So I'm going to show you step by step what it is. So if you know the Treasury system, you'll be up to speed with this. But if you don't, I'll do my best to keep it as simple as possible. Although I would recommend at least checking out and going back to watch the Treasury Spine and Treasury Branches videos. So the link is in the description for that. It's a less than a 7-minute video just explaining the structural logics within the Atropa ecosystem Treasury system. So let's get into the presentation here. So it's going to be a bit of a nerdy episode, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible because obviously I saw Atropa DAI, I got excited, and I also wanted to look into it as well. So this is a step-by-step of what it is. So first, the context. A PulseX liquidity pool, a PLP. So when you put two tokens together on PulseX, for example, token A and token B, in this instance, Pulse Chain and PulseX, it creates a PLP. And a PLP is a representation of the total liquidity pool. And then whatever the size of your PLP is, that represents the percentage of your holding in that liquidity pool. So for example, in this, just imagine that there's 9 blocks. So I do these in blocks because we're working with blockchains. And you can think of everything as Lego. So the PLP, let's say here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's only 7 rather. Hang on. No, there's 8 there. And then you would mint the 9th. So you would own 1/9. So whatever that is in percentages. I don't know off the top of my head. But anyway, then you can see here where it says share of the pool. So that's what a PLP token is. And then that, when you put the tokens together, the PLP will get minted to your wallet address, and that will represent your holding. Now, the reason why I show that is because that is important to understand what Atropa DAI is. So if you haven't, I definitely recommend that you should be in the Telegram group, Atropa New Contracts. The link for that is in the description. And what we're referring to here, I've got 2 of these here because both of these are part of the Atropa DAI. So we've got Atropa DAI, and then we've got this teddy bear with whatever those symbols are. I don't really know. It would have been cool to look at that because there's all this lore with the Atropa ecosystem. But what's important here is just to go over this so you're familiar. So at the top, you've got the contract. So that's the contract address. TX, that's the transaction hash. So then you'll be able to click on that and see who created it or which wallet created it, when they created it. It's from the token factory 1CC7, which is the V4 minters. And we know that the V4 minters multiply based on the starting supply. So in this instance, the token supply is 3.374. That's the starting supply. So every time that amount of tokens is minted, the amount of tokens to burn goes up by 1. And on this teddy bear one, it would be, what do we got? I think it's 10 million. So 10 million. And there's a very specific reason for this, is because the parent to this is teddy bear. So then obviously you've got the contract address as well, the token name, token symbol, token decimals. Okay, so now we'll start from the beginning. Atropa DAI, the creation. So teddy bear, we all know and love teddy bear, the teddy bear in which we trust. That is the parent to this teddy bear here. So basically that teddy bear, this teddy bear was launched off it as the child. So in other words, every 10 million teddy bear that gets burnt to the contract will mint 1 of these child tokens. And then when 10 million are burnt, then it would take 2. No, hang on. Sorry. What have I said? My bad. Sorry. I take that back. Let's go back to the beginning. So teddy bear, parent to child, V4 minter. Parent is teddy bear, child is this teddy bear here. So for the first 10 million, it's 1 teddy bear burns to mint 1 child. And then after 10 million teddy bear have been burnt, that number goes up to 2. So then the next 10 million, it's 2 teddy bear burns to mint 1 child. And then the next 10 million, it goes 3 teddy bear to 1 child. It's actually not quite 1, 2, 3. It's like a it's like a long number that over a long period of time ends up not quite equaling full round numbers, I think, based on what I've seen on the contract. So then how do we get the Atropa DAI? So this is where it gets really interesting. So the parent to the Atropa DAI is a PLP token. So basically, teddy bear, and then this teddy bear child token come together in a PLP to create this token, which ends up being the parent to the Atropa DAI. Now, what's very interesting about this to me, I wish I put the little circles here, but what's interesting about this is teddy bear is the parent, and then the child has been linked up with the parent. So there's this little loop that occurs here. And I suppose the way that the liquidity pools, which we'll have a look at, are created will basically incentivize more burning of teddy bear, which is really quite fascinating. So it creates a PLP, and then the Atropa DAI needs this parent to mint the Atropa DAI. So in other words, you need to have first teddy bear, then you need to have this, then you need to create a PLP, then you need to mint the Atropa DAI. So it's a little bit complicated, but also not really. It's just a series of steps. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is because now we've gone from spines and branches to these kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. They're like layered in now. Things are getting layered on top of each other. So I actually wanted to go a little bit deeper into this, but I'll go a little bit deeper onto this perhaps tomorrow, and how I'm kind of thinking about how this potentially can work, because the value is just getting locked up and locked up and locked up down the line, which is really, really interesting. So not only are you incentivizing burning, it's just really interesting. So I also, then you end up having an Atropa DAI pool with teddy bear. So then you've got all these different steps where teddy bear, the value of teddy bear is being influenced through these different layers of the wrapping, I suppose you could say, of the token. So the reason why I wanted to do this as a stream is so obviously I can see what you guys are saying, and I'll go through the presentation first, and then I'll get to what everybody is asking. So then I can figure out ways to address these things, and we can brainstorm what this actually means. So the next thing that I want to bring up, so I'm just going to remove that, and then stop share. And then I'm going to present. Let's present now the process to actually do this. So, damn, hang on, stop share, wrong one. Let me go back here. Sorry about this, folks. This is why I need to get my new laptop, because having just one screen is not cool. All right. So how did I figure this out? It wasn't too hard, really. So obviously you have the Atropa new contracts, and I've seen it in here. And so I've just gone backwards. So first I copied and pasted this, and I went to the Pulse Chain Explorer, copy and paste the contract address. Now, always it comes up twice. So the top one, the ERC20, it's like the token details, and the bottom one, it's usually, so the token details will tell you the holders, it will tell you how many token supply. I mean, you can see it here, the supply, the holders, the transfers, so on and so forth. But what we actually want is, this is the actual address. So it's kind of like the wallet address. Well, it is the wallet address. So all the transactions that happen through this is what we want to see. So this is where I start to go to investigate. So you can see here the creator is the 1CC7, which is the token launcher. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to find the mint. So when I find a mint, I know that's going to lead me to what the parent is. So you can see here we've got mint, transfer, approve, all the different kinds of functions and methods that you can do, right? So we want mint so I can figure out what the parent is. So then I go down the line. So I go down the line. I clicked on the first one, which was mint, and it brings me to this transaction hash. And this transaction hash says, oh, okay, in order to get the Atropa DAI, it's requiring a PLP. So, that's quite interesting. So this person minted, this person minted 0.11 for 0.55 of these PLPs. So then what's this PLP? So then I click on that PLP and then it brings me to here. And so it brings me to this contract details, which is a PulseX LP. And then I click on the tokens to see what the two tokens are. Gosh darn, I've messed up. And I'm mad as hell. So I'm wrong. Man. How did I get that wrong? What a noob. How the man. So there's more to it. There's actually more to it. Shit, man. Well, that sucks wang, doesn't it? Right. So it's completely wrong. There is no loop here. What a dick. What a fool. All right. So in actuality, if we go back to, man, if you rewind it a little bit, where it was the child with the teddy bear thing, that PLP, man, this pisses me off. I spent so much time trying to get this clear, and now it's not clear, and I know that it's confusing me, and then it's going to confuse the audience, and it's kind of just a waste of time. I tried so hard to make this simple. This shit is not... Interacting with the blockchain is not all that great at times, so now I've confused myself, really. Oh, man, this is really... Okay, so where did the teddy bear come from? I think I just confused myself because of the fact that it was teddy bear that was minting that. So yeah, if we go back to this step, so I guess I'll just clarify. So I'll stop the share. I'll bring this back up. And I'll share. So it's not teddy bear. I'm glad I didn't do those circle loops then, because it's not a loop. So the title is a little bit misleading. This is hex that it's bonded with, not teddy bear. So teddy bear is the parent, creates this child, and then this child bonds with hex to create the PLP. And then the PLP is the parent to the Atropa child. So a little bit of a noob there. My apologies. So that's clarified that. Now, I mean, it still applies anyway. Hey, go down the line. But obviously, this is where it kind of like scrambles your brain a little bit. And yeah. And so I've basically then I want to find out what the unnamed token is. And so the unnamed token, this ended up being so then I don't know what this token is, right? So how do I find this? So you can either go to Dex Screener and you type it here, and it ended up being that Chinese symbol one, the teddy bear what? Bro. Oh yeah, that's correct. Bro, what's even going on here? This is yeah. Now I've got myself into a loop. Yeah. So this is a PulseX LP, which is made of the DAI. That's made of the DAI. No, it's not. Why did it? Yeah, this is getting out of hand now. No wonder why it's confusing the shit out of me, because I clicked this, but for some reason I fucking clicked it. It clicked. I clicked you. And so I don't know why it brought up the other contract. I swear to God, I clicked that. Everybody saw me click that before, right? I'm in a bit of a funny mood, I suppose. Even the profile, even the thumbnail, I'm in a bit of a spasm mood. So anyway, because I'm trying to make it light, because it's all nerdy stuff, right? So I'm trying to make it fun and light. But I've just put everything into a spin. But anyway, I've gone on enough about that. So you basically just go down the line to investigate and find it. And eventually you find your way back to here. And it's like, okay, teddy bear. And then this token here. And this here is important. This is where the teddy bear is the parent, and then that is the child, which is this Asian thing. So the other way that you can find this as well, obviously, is on the Treasury Spine. So if you go to the Treasury System.win website, for example, so you can see here when I've typed in that contract address, it's going to tell me that that I already know that parent token is teddy bear, because I've seen that many times. And then that's how I also started investing. You can also basically, what I'm trying to say is this is another way of investigating the parent to the child, which I've shown many times on this channel. Okay, so then obviously, look, the charts don't really tell me all that much. I mean, what looks like people are just starting to ape into it now. That just wicked up, so people probably just started aping into it just now. In the last 5 minutes, it went up 27%, but the liquidity's thin. So anyway, this is what people do but that's kind of funny. But anyway, so this is the Atropa DAI. Small amounts of liquidity, $398. You can see it's got that one there. He's got Hex, Teddy Bear. So they are kind of the Atropa DAI, because what's important to this one here is also the Hex. So Hex is coming into play, and this is the EEB39. Which Hex is that? That's the, I don't know which Hex that is. Whichever Hex that is. I think that's E-Hex. So that's kind of how things are kind of looping through the liquidity and the way that the liquidity is set up. So I wish I could, in my mind, it's like, oh, I can just see it in my mind how this is. It's like there's these different strands that are interconnected across. It's probably a good idea to even bring this up. Oh, I don't want to bring that up. Yeah, the way that the liquidity pools are set up, even though there's like those four steps that I showed before to get to the Atropa DAI, now those 4 steps is kind of like step 1 is being linked into step 4, and step 4 is being linked into step 2, and step 2 is being linked into step 3, and step 3 is being linked back into step 1. So basically, you've got this structure, and it's all being intertwined. So there's all these loops that are intertwining this structure, which is really very fascinating and interesting to me. That's the cool part. So it's like these different structures that are emerging and are being created, and things are being wrapped up. And I don't quite know what it means. But when I started thinking about, when my boy Muddy was talking about this the other day, and just FYI, my boy Muddy had this big concept for creating a stable coin with PLP tokens. And so it's very interesting to me, very interesting to me now that we're starting to see this concept emerge. So yeah, the charts don't say much, but I don't want to go on too long for this one because it's probably already been a little bit confusing. So I'm going to go through the chat. Kakosi UFO to go. What's going on? I click buttons. Puffy, what's going on, dude? Hey, Robson. Good to see you here, bro. I'll see you soon, my man. Orez, what's going on? Stephen in the mornings. Oh, nice. Alan, back in the morning. So weird tokens floating around with the PDAI stuff. There's CWBTC now. Anyone know if it's part of the whole peg thing connected to CWETH? CWBT. So C, I would imagine, I haven't looked into it, but I would just imagine that CWBTC and CWETH are the compound forked versions of, WETH, CWETH and CWRAP Bitcoin, and then they're the Pulse Chain versions. So when everything got the system state got copied over, they'll be the Pulse Chain version. So they'll, I don't know too much about Compound, but they will be part of the collateral that backs the assets in Compound, I would suspect. Giga Chads, what's going on, bro? Stephen is the shaman of our P dissect. I appreciate that, man. Can we just buy a Atropa DAI? Surely that will go up. So you can buy, but you really have to think about what buying it means. It's not. This is a nerd channel. It's a nerd channel when I talk about this sort of stuff. And, when I draw my cute little pictures, I really enjoy doing that. I really enjoy making those little diagrams. It's fun as F for me. I really enjoy it. And I enjoy exploring these things. Trying to explain it in a very simple way is a whole nother thing. I also enjoy the challenge of that, but it's quite tricky. When I'm talking about these tokens, it doesn't necessarily mean to go out and buy it. You can, of course, go and buy it, but you have to consider what buying it actually means. So, for example, this is the Atropa DAI. There's only 14 tokens in liquidity. There's only 14.779 tokens in circulation, and there's 55 holders. So it's a new token. You could go ahead and buy it, but I would suspect that these guys are probably just going to sell on you. They might not. They might. I mean, that's just the game of crypto, but it's more about the concept of now Maria is launching child tokens off PLPs. That is an interesting concept to me. That is an interesting concept because you're basically taking something which represents value and then you're creating value from something that represents value. So imagine if you then continue that down a spine. So then you make a PLP at the top, which is the main parent, and then you make a child token, and then you make another child token off that child token. So basically you keep wrapping the value down the line. It's just another interesting dynamic that's been introduced into whatever is going on here. So just really bear that in mind, man. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm not saying it can't pump. I'm just saying know what you're buying before you just go and rush into it. Just because it says DAI on there and Atropa doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that's going to be worth buying. Master Poe has entered the stream not to interrupt but to observe, reflect, and ignite the signal through the noise. Carry on, truth seekers. Hashtag Master Poe. And what's going on, Hexologist Heart? Thank you, Master Poe. Thank you very much. You've brought just reading your message has brought a wave of softness through my body. It'll get better eventually. Should we just buy a Atropa DAI if it's a reward token? Surely it will pump at some point. So it's not a reward token. It's a child token. So it's not a reward token. Super Tita. Are we skipping leg day today, chat? Jesu, never. Actually, I shouldn't say never. Of all the days that I skip, leg day is the one that I skip the most. But tomorrow's leg day. But at the moment, I'm doing like this hardcore cut/fasting in preparation for a meditation education that I have coming up in the middle of August. And boy, I've had some serious progress already in just a week. So basically, it's pretty hardcore. I'm doing 3 days of water fasting a week for the next 7 weeks and then eating really well. I'm really trying to clean out all the toxins and everything in my body. Like even when I talk, it's really frustrating me, but I notice I stutter a lot and I babble a lot. And the words are really coming from that gut bacteria because the brain gut connection. So it's really blocking the truth from really, the truth is really being filtered through this aspect of the mind, because the mind is not just what happens here. The mind is this whole being. So if there's blockages in the body, it blocks the words, and it frustrates the hell out of me, because I went back to the very early days of my YouTube channel and I spoke with much more clarity. But now, as time has gone by, this tension and this kind of stress response in my gut has gone higher and higher. But it's really clearing out a lot. I had some big shifts just on the weekend after 1 week. So I'm really kind of hoping that things will really change a lot by the end of it, because it's like the last remnants of false self, because the false self is stored in every single cell of the body. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys telling me to relax. Yeah, that's where the stress comes from for me, because I'm trying to make things clear and simple. And when I caught up with the boys on in Brisbane for the meeting, they were joking around, like they were saying, oh, I only really listened to Somi and Steve, and I was like, oh wow, like I was really honored that they put me up there with Somi. And one of the boys was like, yeah, but I listened to you on 3x speed if I could. And I was just like, we all had a laugh because my streams go for so long. So I'm also like trying to rush these things to finish it in half an hour. But sometimes it's not easy because it's so complicated. Cheers, Robson. Hyperloop. This is a mini loop. These are little mini loops that I'm seeing emerge. So doing this technical stuff ain't easy. We get it. Thanks, UFO to go. Appreciate that, man. The PulseX LP is made of hex and Chinese teddy bear. Serendipity. Yes. Thank you for that. I don't know how I made that mistake, but I did. So what's going on, Zach? Nerdy and heavy. You feel it, Andrew. Good stuff. Jado, what's going on, bro? No shame in stumbles. Only wisdom in rising. We're all students here, learning, refining, evolving. Carry on. You're doing better than you think. Thanks, Master Poe. And it was EHEX. EHEX. Okay, cool. Watch this will connect to HotX or something. Yeah, that's... boy, like... Let me just bring up... I want to bring up one that I can draw on. So just give me a moment. I'm going to bring up, because this is how I'm starting to think about it. So let me bring up my Treasury spine. But this is how I'm starting to think of the spines. So uno momento. Because I would encourage everyone who's watching this to really now start thinking about this in terms of natural structures, how living organisms are. So the spine, well, how does the spine work? How does the spine connect to the rest of the body? There's feedback loops between the spine and the organs, and it's all connected with the nervous system, and it goes up to the brain. And like, what are all the parts? I don't fully understand the biology of it, but I think that will be something that I will potentially explore in a future video, because I think thinking about how this might work from that perspective might lead to some clues about what could emerge in the future or what might work in the future. So let me bring up this Treasury spine here. And I want to show you how I've been thinking about this just very recently before I finish up with all the comments. Almost 300 people in here. Thanks everybody for joining. And thanks everyone for contributing to the chat as well. So the reason why I do these streams is to interact with you guys and see if there's any questions and things, and see if what we're all thinking. So, okay, here's a Treasury spine. But remember, anyone can create this. So now, actually, just for clarity's sake, what I'll do is, give me a second. I'll duplicate this, and I'm just going to delete some of those there. Oh, no, it won't let me. because they're pictures. Bugger. All right, that's okay. I can still make do with that. So I'll relaunch it. All right. Here we go. So think about this spine. So if you can, just try to ignore these. So just pretend that they're not there, which is going to be quite tricky. So I'm just going to cross them out. So imagine you've created a spine like this. Now, the way that I'm kind of thinking about this as a structural thing is every single one of these, which they actually do, just FYI. Stu, when he did this, he launched a tax token of every single one of these, I think. So then there's a tax token that's launched off every single one of these. Yeah. I'm going to keep going. It's kind of looking more like an actual spine now, isn't it? So there's a tax token. And then maybe there's like another layer where the way that liquidity is set up, it connects these tax tokens and then only these ones and this one with this one, so on and so forth. So there's all these different kinds of connections. And then you launch again a V4 minter off these, which makes them all scarce because the V4 minter will start burning those. But the tax token is creating price scarcity. Buy pressure on these because the tax tokens will be buying up those, every single one of those tokens down the line. And then you can create, say, a V4 minter of every single one of those tax tokens to make it scarce and continuously put buy pressure on the tax tokens. And then also, same thing, you could do like a V4 minter for every single one of these. I know that there's some V4 minters, but then, yeah, all the way along, V4 minters. And then the V4 minters is making these tokens scarce as well. So then basically the tax tokens are buying it up. The V4 minters are making it scarce, but then you connect the V4 minters maybe with this tax token and this tax token, and I don't really know, right? So I'm just kind of like, this is how I'm sort of visualizing this thing. It's not just, even though I'm showing it as blocks, it's also this organic, potentially organic thing in the way that all the liquidity pools are interconnected. So I would just encourage you to really think about what it means to reduce supply, what it means to interconnect liquidity pools, what it means to add buy pressure, what it means to create a spine, and then what it means then to create a branch from this. I don't know, maybe start using ChatGPT and see, just start asking questions. So, yeah, terrible little drawing, but you get the idea, right? Hyperpoop. I tell you what, Mirko, I don't know if you were talking about the when I was talking about the clearing of the gut, but yes, there was definitely a hyperpoop. I can tell you that. Do the best you can with what you can while you can, and success is inevitable. UFO to go. That is beautiful. Is that a quote from someone in particular? Because I really like that, and I completely agree with that. Atropa DAI moves up. Of course it does. People start buying. Bud, what's going on, Bud? Okay, so Terra, yes. So I know that you wanted to learn about this. So yeah, obviously it's going to be difficult to buy because there's probably not going to be a whole lot in liquidity compared to, well, I guess we'd have to have a look how much is actually in liquidity versus how many there were. So we know, I'll go back now to this. This is where it's good to be on stream to get the questions as I go. And I'm going to only make myself go for less than 5 minutes. I want to finish this in under 40. So 14.77. And if we have a look at the liquidity pools versal.app, there's only 1.3 in liquidity. So that's probably why it's difficult to buy. And you have a look at how much is in liquidity. Yeah, so there's not much. So perhaps there's a lot of slippage there when you're trying to buy it. You might have to increase the slippage. I have to really be careful. I don't know what wallet address is shown there, but I better just double check. Oh, none. Great. So let's go to trade. It might just be that there's lots of slippage, so it's not letting you go through. You might have to increase your slippage. Okay, so I'll bring this back up. Here we go. So if we want to buy some Atropa DAI, what is the biggest liquidity pool? So the biggest liquidity pool is this one, and then Hex, and then WPLS. We'll do it with Hex. So it's DAI. What did we say? It was Hex, right? But which Hex was it? I think it was Hex from Ethereum. We're going to know straight away. It'll tell us if there's a route through there. Insufficient liquidity for this trade. Well, screw you. Must be the other Hex. Yes, it was the other Hex. So you can see, I mean, even if you look in that pool, there's probably not that much. So there's only 0.4. So the max you can buy is 0.4. Yeah, you won't even be able to buy 0.4 in one go. So yeah, that's probably why. So how much is that? So 9,000. And you'll see the slippage will go through the roof. Yeah, 25% slippage. And you're not even going to be able to get the full 0.4. So nowhere near the full 0.4. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying it. I would recommend understanding what it is you're buying first. What's going on, Mandala Matrix? I don't know if that's you, DeFi Pulse Pro, or if it's somebody else, but what's going on, man? I'm curious where the liquidity is going to come from for the child tokens. It seems like if I'm into the child token, if I'm into the child from PLP, let's say $1,000 value, how do we realize that value in the end? This is the thing that I'm also curious about, Zach. But that's the thing. Basically, this concept of wrapping value, if you create, it might not necessarily, like, okay, that's a really good question, because it's basically the PLP tokens, you can just use them as something to trade a tax token against. So tax tokens work on arbitrage. So if you had all these PLP tokens connected to in liquidity with, I don't know, let's say ZAC squared, which is your ZAC token, which buys up, I don't know, any token that you like. Let's say it buys up PDAI. Then basically you can create this wave of value that's constantly fluctuating and constantly creating buy pressure just through the arbitrage of those PLP tokens arbitraging against your token, which is then buying up another token. Wasn't a very clear explanation, but I don't necessarily think that this concept of the PLPs is necessarily about being able to take the liquidity out. It's more about being able to lock away the liquidity and then still get some value from that liquidity. You're generating yield from that liquidity just by putting it into a liquidity pool. Does that make sense, Zach? I hope so. Get after it, Steve-O. What's going on, Steve-O? 21 days of fasting is big. Congrats and good luck, brother. So, Jaisu, it's not 21 total. Yes, over the next 7 weeks. Correct, yeah. What I listen to through the day. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Thanks, Steve. What's going on, Matt and Barley? All right, I'm going to see if there's any questions. So, Atropa DAI. Tax tokens buying child tokens. This is powerful. Exactly. It's really just about using what's there to create movement and fluctuations on the chain. So Atropa DAI up, gee whiz. It's up because I think I started streaming about it. Up 472% in 1 hour based on what is you minted instead. It might not be up because people have minted. It might be up just because people are buying it since I got on to stream about it. You need to check whether it's cheaper to mint it using the PLP instead of buying. That's a great point, Serendipity. That's a really, really good point. That's a really, really good point. And that's where it starts to get kind of a little bit annoying / complicated to figure it out. So, yeah. Mandala Matrix ecosystem is Richie Rich. What's going on, Richie? All right. What's going on, Hex Down Under? Mandala Matrix going to use child tokens in a big way. I'm very excited about it. You don't generate... Okay, so let me go back to your question, Zach, and clarify. So I'm curious where the liquidity is going to come from for the child tokens. It seems like if I minted a child from PLP, let's say $1,000 value, how do we realize that value in the end? If I minted a child from PLP, let's say $1,000, how do we realize that value in the end? The PLP tokens can be traded too. Just FYI. So, for example, which one was it? Which was the PLP? Yeah, just very simply like that, Zach. The PLP tokens can be traded as well. I mean, if they're in a liquidity pool. I'm trying to understand your question. I understand like what you're trying to ask, but I don't really know, to be perfectly honest with you. And I suppose I'm trying to figure it out. Well, here we go. Someone has put it into a liquidity pool, this particular token. So yeah, very simply like this, you can trade the PLP. So they're basically just like another token. So that's how, Zach. So you're just wrapping value up, making it into value, which can then be traded, which can also then be used as something to arbitrage against. And you can buy and sell that. That's interesting. So they become tradable assets. So this is where I feel like Bud is more in tune with this sort of stuff. Like when he was talking about the Atropa ecosystem as a derivatives market, I had to look up derivatives market. I've heard of it many times, but to be quite frank, I still don't fully know what it is. I guess it's just a derivative is just a representation of value. It's not the real thing. So based on the PDAI community chat we had the other day, I'm still not fully in tune with it. So yeah, I guess the PLP is just like a derivative asset, I guess, in a way. So this is a derivative of a derivative. Let's go back. You don't generate any yield if you burn the PLP to mint the child. Yeah, I got what you're saying. Okay. That's definitely something to contemplate. You don't generate any yield. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, I guess this is where the Lao tokens come into it, right? Yeah, so I haven't fully figured this stuff out, Zach, but those are some really, really good, thoughtful questions. So I'm with you, Hex Down Under. Zach, you can claim back your PLP token. So that's another way to realize that value. Also, the more people participate, the more liquidity you end up with. Okay, gotcha. So you can also burn the child to get the parent PLP back. You would claim it back, Zach. So it's the same process. So you can also burn the child to get the parent PLP back. So basically, correct, but you claim it. So it's just different language. So I've been calling it sacrifice. So you'll sacrifice the child to claim back the parent. So in this case, the PLP token. And V3 and V4 is 1-to-1. It would still be the same. It would still be the same, Richie. It would still be the exact same. The difference obviously is when it comes to V4 is with V4, it's not worth claiming back generally, depending on what the multiplier rate is. It's generally better off just minting it rather than claiming it because it's always 1-to-1. Even though the burn to mint rate might be like 4-to-1, the sacrifice to claim rate will always be 1-to-1. Doesn't matter what the minter is. And the idea more is to provide stability and trust in your eco token. But if the PLP tokens are traded and arbitraged as well, that creates yield as well. Exactly. That's what I was thinking about as well. And that's what Muddy was telling me anyway. And I think that's very, very, very clever. If you can reclaim your PLP, that would have compounded your yield surely. I don't think so. I don't think you're generating yield while the PLP is burnt. But maybe you do. Experiment with this stuff, guys. That's the thing. Like, I love these questions, but now it's time to try. It's like really the way that I feel about everything Maria's doing is Maria is putting these little tools out, these little Lego blocks, as Richie Rich called them, and I thought that's bloody great analogy. Putting these little Lego blocks out, and now it's time to just play with the pieces. What are you gonna make? What kind of structure can you make and create? And just try. Just try with $10, $5. So the contract address, if you go to the Telegram Atropa new contracts, you just type in Atropa DAI, you'll find it there. It's very easy to find. Child sacrifices. Hex is the best call in crypto. Oh, that is a good comment. I love it. I really do. Well done. If you burn PLP to the debt address, it compounds the fees. There you go, Richie. He's onto it. So there you go, Zach. So basically, wow. That makes things interesting. That makes things very, very interesting, doesn't it? Something that Bud and I talk about a lot is never selling your principal. So now you can basically turn your principal yield generating asset into something you're basically borrowing against it in a way, but you're not borrowing against it. It's not a collateral and loan system. It's a creation system. That's interesting, isn't it, man? Hey, Bud, think about this one, man. Think about that one, Bud, please. And I want to see what you come up with. So if you take your principal, let's say you've got 10,000 PUSDC and 10,000 PUSDT, it gets to $1 and you're only taking out the yield, but you're still creating value. You can turn that PLP into something that you can mint from and create another token from, which you can create another ecosystem around. So it's yield. A yield-bearing asset can then become an asset itself to generate yield from through the PLP. Wow, that's a cool little unlock. That's a cool little unlock. That's a really cool little unlock. So definitely let's start thinking about this together as a community and what can we come up with. Honestly though, I actually think Muddy's got it all worked out. I think Muddy's really figured out. Oh man. The only way to learn is to experiment. Exactly. Serendipity. So that's mindfulness. What's going on, mindfulness? Isn't the PLP token irrelevant? You are essentially swapping EHEX and Chinese teddy bear for a new token Atropa DAI, then do what you want with the Atropa. Exactly. It's the Pulse Chain playground. Let's play and have fun. So Muddy is, man. Muddy is. He'll be on here one day. He'll be on here one day telling his story. So be interesting to see if you can claim the Chinese Teddy / EHEX PLP token back 1-to-1. You should definitely be able to. The best way is, I guess, just try. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to claim it. Oh, I see what you're going with that. Because as you're generating yield, I don't think the PLP number changes, does it? So when you mint the PLP, while it's generating yield, the PLP token doesn't go up, does it? The PLP still just represents like a proportional value of the liquidity pool. I don't know if the PLP value actually goes up and down. Is that pretty much what you're getting at, Richie? Yeah, I think this idea came from OG Web Chef. It'll be interesting to hear what Muddy has to say about how the mandala matrix are utilizing. You know, I think he'd be all over the mandala matrix. He's just a busy guy. He's been on holidays and he works away, but he's quit his job now. So let's see. I'll get him onto the mandala matrix. Oni 3. I mean, look. Almighty. You know, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. I see through all the bullshit. He tries to act tough and macho, and he's like baiting me everywhere on Twitter. And it's like, man, you're not gonna get me. I know you want to get me. He's a good kid. He's a good kid, but he's trying to be all macho and tough, and I'm not impressed. Nobody else is impressed. It's like it's boring, but I can tell he's got a good heart. But he's just he's a shit stirrer, really, isn't he? So, but you know, it all comes from whatever his background was. So if you think about it, bud, send me a DM if something clicks. But I also think that it's cool that it might not necessarily directly correlate. So surely the contract won't be smart enough to give you the extra yield from PLP token you originally burnt. Like you say, need to test. It really depends on whether or not. Yeah, it really depends. Yeah, I mean, that's his prerogative. That's the game, man. That's you know, so that's what I was saying. You know, you can't blame. Oh, holy shit. Yeah, I mean, you can't blame the guy for doing that because people look what you guys did. You guys created this candle. Of course, someone's going to come along and sell it. That's totally his prerogative. It doesn't make him a bad person. He's just playing the game like the rest of us. We're all trying to make profit. So yeah, it was probably a better idea to, I mean, if you were buying it up here, it was probably a mistake. So yeah, lesson learned. I mean, if he sold it, that's good on him. He made some profit. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Good night, troops. Good night, Hex Down Under. One last comment here. The PLP value would go up and down, I believe, but you should receive some amount of PLP tokens back you put in, hopefully. I have to start measuring that. I have to start measuring that with some PLPs that I have. I'm going to start doing that with my... I tell you what. Let's have a look very quickly. Let's have a cheeky little look. I'll see if I can solve it right here, right now. Let's see what, make sure. Okay, cool. Let me go to, if I'm out on my phone, then I can't look at you looking at me. If I'm out on a date, then I can shut my eyes, then I can see. Get away from the bar. Tell your boyfriend, hold the jar and dance with me. All right, let's try this. Let's see if we can solve this question right here, right now. Okay, so I know that I created some liquidity pools with, I don't think it's that one. Add liquidity. It's one of these here. Add liquidity. Add liquidity. Add liquidity. Add liquidity. Basically, what I'm doing is because I definitely know my MX DAI and DAI is +% compared to what I started with. Oh, that won't be those. That's a month ago. Compared to what I started with from the other day. So let me just see what the PLP is. There's always something to learn. There's always something to learn, isn't there? So liquidity. Now where's MX DAI? Okay, so I have, is it not going to, okay, look at that. Perfect, nice, easy number. So 13,000 is my PLP. So now if I just go to wherever my MX DAI, coexist token, baby. Oh yeah. Not that one. MX DAI. Okay, so we have, see, because I don't quite understand this. I don't know what the ERC 1967 proxy is. Does that go to my address? Well, no, it doesn't. It goes to the ERC proxy address. There we go. That answers it, doesn't it? So let me get my calculator. I'm just going to add these two numbers together and see if this see if it equals 13,000 or not. So 1,986. Hey, 1986. Hey, some might say that was a very good year. A very good year with some very, very good stock that were created in that year. And then, no, that can't be right. Oh, yep, that's Mandala. Hang on, I just got lost again. I got the camera that covers up these bars. This is why having a second screen. All right, so that one, it's Mandala, so we can close that one. And then a Mandala, we can close that one. And then MX DAI. All right, let's have a look. So this much. And it's probably, the best thing. Well, that's 13,007. So that number has changed because it's only showing 13,000 there. I'm going to monitor this and see if this number continues to change. Because yes, that will be an interesting thing to see what happens there. To see how much you're able to claim back if it's 1-to-1. And then does that mean some of the PLP will get left over on the contract? Forever burnt on the contract in a way? Or not forever burnt because the next person could just come along and claim it. Interesting little dynamic. I'm sure that there's some method to it. So Dizzy Rascal, I don't even know where that song came from and why it popped into my head. Because from what I'm understanding, we are not burning the PLP, just locking it up since you cannot retrieve anything burned to the dead address. Correct, Zach. It's kind of like you're burning it to the contract, but you can reclaim it. So it's more like a transfer than a burn. So it's not but it is a burn in the sense that it removes the circulating supply. It removes that token from circulating supply. but you can claim it back. So it's not a true burn. A true burn will be going to the debt address, removed from circulating supply. You'll never be able to take it back out. You'll never be able to sell it, nothing. This you can actually claim back, but it does remove it from circulating supply. That's why I'm bullish on the idea of creating these and burning PDAI. So the number of PLP tokens you mint stays the same, but the ratio inside the PLP will fluctuate. Anyone can mint PLP, but the inflation of the tokens is accounted for. The ratio inside the PLP, I understand that fluctuates, but the inflation of tokens is accounted for. Okay, but then when you're getting fees inside of that LP, does that mean your PLP is going up though? Because it's the PLP that I have in my wallet is different to the two numbers that I just added up. So unless that is what's fluctuating it. But when there is a multiplier applied, a part of the PLP will stay burned in the contract. So in this way, it creates more and more burned liquidity. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just something that I just said, serendipity. Anyway, gosh, yeah, it's gone on double, but this was the purpose of it, to converse with everybody and see where everybody's at and learn together. And then I'll make clean versions of this discussion so that you can follow it. So again, if this is all kind of new, I would definitely recommend checking out the spine and the branch video. It's like a 7-minute video. So that I'll do these long streams where I'm kind of like going through with everyone and figuring it out, and we're talking about it, we're nerding out, and then I'll condense that information into very short form videos. That's basically what I'm trying to do. So I'll end up doing that with this as well. So it's been good to converse, and I'll continue to have a look at this and have a look at what this means for the PLPs and how the values change. But this comment here is basically very interesting to me, because it will always potentially burn liquidity. It will always potentially burn liquidity on the contract that can never be reclaimed back. So that makes things very interesting. So yes, exactly, Zach. You earn more PLP from the fees. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, there we go. Something to consider. There's lots of little hidden alphabets. This, in my opinion, this is what Pulse Chain is about. It's all about liquidity providing. And even though I'm no expert, I have tried to. If you haven't seen those videos, I'm doing a Define 5 on liquidity pools. So I'm basically explaining little step-by-step concepts of liquidity pools. So if it's new to you, I would recommend checking those videos out and sharing it around. Hopefully it's evergreen content, because I really believe that the liquidity providing game is what it's all about. Even when I did the episode today, it was about 3 different types of liquidity pools. So you've got stable coin to stable coin liquidity pools. Then you've got stable coin to a volatile asset liquidity pools. Then you've got a volatile asset to a volatile asset liquidity pools. They're really the 3 categories of liquidity pools. What makes Pulse Chain so interesting is the stable coin liquidity pools is not just a dollar stable with a dollar stable. It's things like MX DAI and PDAI, which are 5 cents, half a cent rather. And they're one-to-one through the tools that have been given by Maria. And so not only are they one-to-one and stable in that way, they're an appreciating asset that has a projected target of $1. So that's like a 250 or 200x. It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. And now with these minters, it multiplies that concept across the entire blockchain. So really providing liquidity and the liquidity game and building as a liquidity provider is what this is all about. And honestly, I listen to, from time to time, obscure crypto gems, and I hear like a lot of, maybe because I've got Hex, and this is not against core coins, but a lot of core coin conversations are really about like, oh, it's going to go up after this. And there'll be like 40 minutes of people talking about, yeah, I reckon it's going to do this in this year. And, imagine when all these people come and then the core coins are going to do 100x, or maybe it's going to do a 200x. And, but what about 1000x? Have we done the math on that? And I'll just keep DCAing. And There's nothing against this. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not really interacting with the blockchain. You're basically just buying something and then wanting other people to come and buy it. This interacting with the blockchain through the liquidity and the tools, so far on the blockchain, that has been vastly more rewarded than just holding core coins so far. And so I'm kind of surprised that more people aren't doing it and more people aren't talking about it. So to me, it also makes not just logical sense, but it just makes sense that the people that are interacting with the blockchain and using it are the ones that are being more rewarded than the ones that are just buying and waiting for other buyers to come in. There's like a stagnant energy and then there's a life force energy. So yeah, all we need is more protein DAI. Anyway, I went on again too much. Good night, everybody. Have a good day.